Hey, good morning, everybody. How is everybody doing this morning? Welcome. Let me just put my link in the comments so that you know where to go if you need to buy product. How's everybody doing? Welcome to my page. My name is Michaela Lekas. I am from Paint Fixation in Middleburg, Florida. I am a premier Dixie Belle retailer at my premier location is at Antiques for You on Blanding in Orange Park. And my retailer's location is at Junk in the Trunk in Fleming Islands. If you're local and you're watching, those are the two places that you can get your paint locally. I'm just putting my link in here real quick. And also, if you don't have a retailer, I can also drop ship paint or any of the Dixie Belle products that you see me use directly to your home. When you come on, please say hello. Let me know that you're here. I'm going to pull it up on my phone so I can see comments because I can't see them on my computer. But I'm going to show you today how to make your own custom colored wax. So Dixie Belle has clear wax, gray wax, which is our grunge wax, a black wax, and a brown wax. But sometimes you want a different color. Like I made my own brown wax, but I'll show you the two different colors, our original brown and then the one that I made to do this piece here. And I did that because I didn't want it as dark as the wax that, let me turn my volume down on my phone. Hi, Diana, good morning. Okay, so I can see your comments. All right, I'm gonna just place this right there. Okay, so what I did was, okay, so let me give you an update on this. I decided, as you can see, I decided to paint the grate on here, and I made a custom glaze, or I guess a paint mixture, I guess is what you would call it, for my stencil. This is that French print from stencil that I was telling you guys about. And so what I did was I took chocolate, Dixie Belle chocolate, this color here, and the steel magnolia. This is the steel magnolia moonshine metallic. Okay, so I mixed these two to get this color here, and I mixed it because I wanted a little bit of a shimmer and I wanted it a little bit more translucent than solid paint. And this was you guys' color combination, and I really like it, so thank you. And so the color is not as solid as if I had just used the chocolate. So I can show you the difference. The chocolate is, a much deeper color. And so when you mix it with the metallic, it gives it a little bit more translucent of a look. And it gives it a teeny bit of a shimmer. You can't really see the shimmer too much because the print is so small. But I decided that I wanted to do a glaze, a wax on this piece, and I didn't want to use, let me go ahead and lock this so that it'll stay together. This lock does work. There we go. Okay, so what I did is, if you can tell, let me bring you a little bit closer just real quick. Okay, so if you can tell by looking at this, on this side there is a slight shading. Do you see the shading here? There's a shade here and here. And I'm going to bring you over here, and I hope that I don't make you dizzy, but I want to show you the side. Excuse me. So if you can tell, over there in the corners, there's a slight shading. Okay, let me see if I can get a light. Do you see that, how it's shaded up a little bit? It gives a little bit more character. I'll slowly bring you over here. And this is the other side I haven't done yet. Can you see the difference? So the wax gives a nice, you can make it as dark or as light as you want, depending on what you want your piece to look like. And so I've started this door, and I actually started up here. Let me show you up here. So up here I started, do you see the shading up there? I can't tell with my glasses because I can't see far away, but you can see up in the corners that there's some shading there. And then I'm going to show y'all how I do it on this part of the door. But at first I want to show you how I made the wax. Okay? Yes, Diana, I like it too. This was my friend Kristen's idea. We were talking about it. I had already painted the doors after I got off the live the other day. I painted the doors, and on the inside of the door, here, I'll show you. I'm going to lock it just so that y'all can kind of see what my reasoning was. So on the inside of the door, and here, down here, because I wasn't able to take this piece out. Hi, Yvonne. Hi, Sherry. Because I wasn't able to take this piece out, you could see the dark brown all the way around the inside of this. And at first I thought I was going to be okay with it. But I didn't like the way, even though it was on the inside, it didn't feel finished to me. So Kristen just suggested I go ahead and paint it, and so I did. And then I did a little light distressing. Here, I'll show you. It's very, very light distressing. So I did a little bit of light distressing around the edges. Thank you, Yvonne. I love it. A little bit of distressing here. Just very, very minimal, okay? Just to kind of, so if this paint on here were to rub a little bit or become aged or patinaed a little bit, because it does have a tendency, it has a little bit of rust on it, it's going to look very, very natural. It's going to look very naturally aged. So let me show you how I made my wax. Okay, I've got everything right here. So first let me show you the different colors. Okay, so this is the brown wax. This is the brown wax that Dixie Belle sells. It's a beautiful, rich color, okay? But it was really a little bit too deep for this project that I wanted. It was too dark. So what I did was I made my own, and this is mine, okay? So this is the color that you see on here, and it looks a little darker here because the clear wax, even though it is clear, let me show it to you. It's got some gibbers in it. So even though it's clear, it does start out white, and then it dries clear. So when you mix the colors in with the white, it kind of mutes it a little bit, but then as it dries, it darkens to the original color. So this color is the same as what I did the stencil with. And the way I did it was, and I've used very, very minimal amount of wax, okay? Just good morning, Jackie. Very minimal. So what I did was I put my wax in here, and I did 2 small spoonfuls, okay? So you can see how much is in there, and I've used barely any. And then I took a popsicle stick like this, and I dipped it into my steel magnolia. I basically just dipped it in there. Whatever I had on the popsicle stick, I dropped it into the paint or into the wax. I did that twice with this. And then I did the same thing with the chocolate, okay? So I just dipped my popsicle stick into the paint, and then I just put it into my wax, gave it a good stir until it started to get the color that I wanted it. And I tested it on a piece. Like I tell you guys, always test, 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 because you don't know, especially when you're working on a piece this big. You don't want to start and then regret. So, so this is the color I came up with, and I'm going to show you how I do my wax. So I'm going to raise you up just a little. Let's see. I'm going to raise you up just a little bit as we do this part here. And I'll bring y'all in some closer and tilt you up. Okay, so as you can see, I've already started up here. So what I'm going to do, let me lock this back. I love that I have a key that works. And I use a cotton old t-shirt to do mine. And this is the one I started using here. And when it starts to get really waxy, I just get a clean one. Okay, so this is my clean one. And what I'm going to do, I use a chip brush. Let me see. Thank you, Yvonne. Thank you, thank you. Awesome. So I'm going to use my chip brush, and I'm just going to barely tap it. Okay, I'm just tapping it in here like this. Okay, and I'm going to start bringing it around and make sure y'all can see what I'm doing. Let me move y'all this way a little bit. How's that? Is that too close? Back it up just a little bit. Because I want y'all to see how I do it. Okay. So I'm just going to use my chip brush. I'm not worried about it getting, oh, and I also top coated this in satin before I started, because you have a lot more control over your wax when you top coat first. If you want a much grungier look, then don't top coat, and the paint will suck in your wax, and you'll get a much deeper grungy look. But for this piece, I want it to be very subtle, and so to have more control over the wax, you have to do a top coat first. Hi, Wendy. Hi. Good morning. I can't believe you have time to even be on your phone. Okay. So I'm just going to go around with the wax. I'm just getting it in the crevices. And I'm not going, after I'm done, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with my brush. So I've got very, very little wax on my brush. And I'm just going to set it down for a minute. And I'm going to take my, I do too, Wendy. Oh my gosh, I love it. So I'm going to take my brush, or my clean rag, and I'm just going to go along and remove whatever wax I don't want there anymore. I'm just going to very gently, so I'm not wanting such a harsh line on here, but I'm going to show y'all how I'm going to shade this a little bit with the leftover wax on my brush. So right now I'm just taking off the excess, and any place I can see a brush stroke, I'm just going to gently wipe that away, because I don't want that. I want it to look like a natural age, and we don't naturally age with brush strokes. So anywhere that's a brush stroke, I'm going to remove that. And the nice thing about doing it this way with the satin clear coat under it is, if you take back too much, you can always add more. But if you don't use a clear coat underneath it, you're going to have a lot less control over what you remove. It's going to soak in a lot more. So like where I'm taking it off here, this would be a lot more brown without the satin coat on top. Okay, so I'm just gently removing. And as you can see, I'm leaving most of it, but anywhere where it's just a little bit more than I want, and this is all personal preference, however you want it to look. Okay, so that's about where I want it. So that's done. See how easy that was? And I'm just going to take it off of the flat area, because I'm going to add back, but I want to add it the way I want it. So I'm going to do it with control. Okay. Thank you, Sherry. I do too. This is Steel Magnolia and Chocolate. Okay, so let me raise this up just a little bit. I'm going to just show you how I shade. Okay, so I've got my brush, and I'm going to make sure that I don't have too much wax on here, okay? And I'm just going to gently, just very, very lightly, I'm brushing the wax back on. Very, very light. Now this is just for this piece. This is how I want it to look. I just want it to have a little bit of a halo. And then here, on this edge here, over here, I'm going to do the same thing on this inside part here, okay? I'm just hitting it. So instead of having a very strong, like a glaze look, so I could use glaze in these cracks and give it a much more glazed look, where it would be a stronger color. I could use glaze, but I tried that. I did a test, and I liked this subtle wax effect better. So I don't know if y'all can see the difference. I think you can. You should be able to see that. Yeah. So there's just a subtle shadowing on there. So subtle that you're almost not sure if it's a wax. Okay. And I'm going to go in here and just add a little bit. I have not added any more wax to my brush now. Okay. And I'm just going to hit it like that. Now, for the lock, let me bring you down. Okay, so I did a little bit already on this lock. I'm just going to look at my computer here to see if I can see what you're seeing. Make sure the lighting is not so great this morning. Okay, so around a lock, you expect it to be a little bit more worn and dirty. And so I'm just going to add a little bit more. I had done it earlier, but I wanted it to be a little bit darker. Okay, and I'm just barely touching it. Okay, now can you see the difference between this one and this one? You see how there's just a nice feather effect? Thank you, Regina. And so now I'm going to go on this one, and I'm just going to, so before, when I was doing my live before, I had decided not to paint these. I was going to leave them, but I changed my mind. And that's what you can do as an artist. You can change your mind as you go. So I decided to paint the grate and decided to paint all of the hardware. I painted the hinges and everything. Yeah, it's a beautiful piece, Sherry. It really is. I'm really falling in love with it more and more. It's such a unique piece. I've never seen anything like it. Now see how this wax just gives that just a little shading, so that ages that up just a little bit. It's such a nice effect that you can do. And like I said, you can make it as little or as much, because at first I thought I wasn't going to do any wax. So then I did a test piece and decided that I wanted it. So I'm going to just very gently, and the Dixie dirt, you can get the same effect with the Dixie dirt. It would be a little bit darker on the edges, but the colors, I wanted this to all be in the same colors. So I custom made my own wax. I'm just checking my comments. Okay, so now I'm going to come down, maybe back. All right, and so now I'm just going to do the same thing here. I still have not added any wax, okay? As long as I'm getting color and it's now I'm starting to lose my wax. So now what I'm going to do is, I need more wax, but I don't want to waste wax by dabbing off. So I'm going to use more wax, and I'm going to do this piece down here. So I'm just going to dab it a little bit. Very, very, very little, like almost none. Just a little bit. And then I'm going to go in here like I did the other one, and I'm going to just add my wax into the cracks. Just like this. And if y'all have any questions, please do not be shy. I'm going to get a little bit more wax. Ask any questions that you have, and I'll be happy to answer them if I can. And if I can't, I'm sure I can find the answer. And because I've already done my 2 coats of satin on this, I'm not going to put another coat on here. I will put gator hide on the top of it, but I won't add any more sealer on this. Once this wax cures, it'll be rock hard. I'm not going to worry about it coming off. And the nice thing about the Dixie Belle wax is it's water-based. So if I decided to repaint this piece, I could do so without taking the wax off. Like some of the waxes in other companies, they're not water-based, and so you have to remove them with mineral spirits before you can paint over them, and you do not have to do that with our wax. Once it's cured, you can paint right back over it. Okay. And you can kind of see this is holding a lot more of the wax. I probably don't have as much clear coat on this inside part. In some places, you know how you can miss. But I'm really liking the way it's turning out. Again, I'm pulling back any places that I see a brush mark. I don't want brush marks in my wax, okay? Because I want this to look like a natural age process. Okay, I don't want this to look like I added it. I want it to look like it was put there naturally. Okay, sorry about my big old head in your way. Okay, so now that I've put the wax on here, now I know that I have a little bit more wax in my brush, and I can go ahead and go back in with my shadowing. Okay, so now I can see the wax on the piece, and it's just adding a very subtle shadow to it. And I'm going to do this edge here because I didn't do this earlier. Now I did do this inside part here, but I haven't done this inside part here. So I'm just going to give it a smush. Okay. And now, again, I'm just going to feather this to give this outside edge a little bit of a halo. And I'm not sure that the camera is picking it up. But can you see how that's darkening that edge? And I don't wash my wax brushes. I just keep a brush for each color. They don't get hard. They stay nice and soft. And if they get too yucky, they're cheap chip brushes, and so I just toss them. But for the most part, the yuckier they are, the better your wax look is. Okay, so I'm losing some wax. So now I'm going to do this part down here. I'm going to do it very similarly that I did on this edge here. I'm going to add my wax, okay, and then I'm going to go along here, and I'm just going to put it in the recessed area there. Again, you can get the same effect in the recessed areas with glaze, but you can't really get that soft feather effect with glaze. You may be able to, but I think that you would have to work really hard to get that effect. Let me lower you down some. I hope I'm not making y'all dizzy. So Betty, I made the wax with the Dixie Belle clear wax, and then I added, it was at the beginning of the video, but I just took my stick and I dipped it in my Steel Magnolia metallic paint and added it to the wax, and then dipped it in my chocolate paint and added it to the wax until I got the color that I wanted. And just, you have to stir it really, really well. And keep in mind that the clear wax looks white before it's dry. So you don't want to go too dark. You want to do a test to see how dark it's going to be when it's dry. Okay, so now I'm going to pull this back. Again, if you're just popping on, this has been clear coated so that I have a lot more control over how much wax. And see, I pulled back a little bit too much in there, so I'm just going to add a little bit more. I'm going to add a little bit more in that crack. Again, it's personal preference. So now I'm just going to be a little bit more careful of where I take it. See that? Oops. And so now I can have it in there, in that recessed area. Let me check my questions. Okay. And if it looks, you know, if as it looks here is similar to the feather effect that I'm having, I can just leave it. Less work. I don't have to go back and do it. Just checking to see if y'all can. There's a hair. Okay. Now let me take my glasses off so you can see. Okay, I'm liking the way that looks. I do, Regina. Yes, I do. If you check back in the page, I actually sprayed this piece, but I have videos on how I prepped this piece. I've talked about this piece quite a bit because it has been, I've had it for a while because it was so, now see I have too much paint on this, see how, or wax, see how that's just a little bit too much? You see that there? So I'm going to go up underneath here. The places that I want more wax, I'm going to use what's on my brush. Now if I didn't have an area like this that I could use the wax, I would just dab it off of my my rag. But, you know, we don't want to waste it if we don't have to. So I'm just going up underneath here. So I did spray this piece, but I had to go back and brush most of it because I sprayed it outside. It was very humid, and I didn't get the coverage that I thought I was getting, so I did go back over and do another coat with a brush. But being able to spray even just your base coats saves you a lot of time. Oops, I got a little bit too much there. Okay, so let's see if we are back to where we can feather. Okay, so now I'm not getting that smushed wax. Now I'm just getting a nice shadow effect. And I'm just going to go in here. And do you see how lightly see how that's a little bit full, a little bit. Okay, so I'm just going to feather that out. You can kind of see, you can just give it, you know, it takes practice. Just get a feel for how you want it to look. And again, with this piece, I'm just wanting a very subtle halo on top of the hair. I found my cat. My cat is very sneaky. I have a cat door over here. You all can see that cat door right there. We put those in when the kids lived here so the cats could get away from the dogs, and now I have it taped up, and the darn cat was able to get through it. So he's not allowed in here, but okay, so can y'all see? Oops. Let me see if I can turn you. See that halo on there? Okay, let me touch it down a little bit. And then after I do this, I'm going to show you how I did the flat side over there, and then I'll let y'all go. I don't want y'all to get bored. Okay. Now, I'm really liking that. Now, let me stand up. Okay. So, let me raise y'all up. And I'm going to show you how I did the side. Okay, hang on one second. Let me see if this lighting over here will be okay to just do it. No. All right, let me try and turn it a little bit more. Be patient with me. Whoops. I'm just trying to get it far enough around so that the lighting is okay. There we go. Hang on. Ah! Guys, I am so sorry that I'm knocking y'all all around. It's Monday for sure. Okay. Checking my lighting. Okay, that looks pretty good. Put my glasses back on. Alright, so this one I'm just going to feather in. Okay? Let me raise it up a little bit and see if the light gets better. Actually, I think it's because I was standing there. So let me go on the other side. Like this. How's that? Okay. So this has not been had anything done to it. This has got the paint and the satin top coat on it. This brush has very little wax on it. And so I'm just going to go in here and start shadowing in where I want it to be. And you can just keep adding to it until you get the look that you want. It's very, very subtle. Okay, you see how easy that is? Now I'm going to come up under here. I'm going to get a little bit more wax. I'm just going to dab it, okay? Can you see how little that is? And I'm going to come up under here And I'm going to add some in my little recessed areas. Okay. And I'm just going to pull back very gently the tops. Okay. Now I have more on my brush, so I'm going to come around here and I'm just going to start giving it a little swoosh. And I'm even getting a little bit on the flat area here, which is okay, because that also just kind of gives it a halo. And because this is such a light application, I don't have to pull back. Unless I get too much, I don't really have to use my rag in here. Now, this is kind of a curve here, so I'm going to just feather this in this way, just to kind of break up this curve to make it look a little bit more natural, to make it look less like I see this curve here, just to make it look a little bit less like it was added. Just breaking that curve up a little bit. And this is also just personal preference. Some people like to have the halo, the roundness to it, but I prefer it to look a little bit more natural. And again, this is all just how you want your piece to look. And I got a little bit right there, so I'm going to take my rag and wipe that right off. You see that? Can y'all see the difference? Yeah, I can see it. I wish I could. Let me see if I can get this turned. My cord is, hang on. Okay. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm just going to start smooshing it in. And I'm just getting some of the wax that's on this back side here. Let me check my phone, see if I have any questions real quick. Excuse me. Kristen, hey, lovely lady. Hey, Kelly. Welcome, guys. Kristen, I did not see you. I'm sorry. So Kristen is my inspiration for painting the gray on the front that y'all saw. She's the one I was telling y'all about. If you're not following her, you should. She's from Lost and Found Mercantile in Ware, Massachusetts. She has a lot of fun videos. Okay, so you see how it's just the subtleness of this shadow? And there you have it. And so you can see the difference between, let me pull you back and see if I can. So you can see the difference between this corner and this corner. So we're just getting a little bit of a aged look around the edges. Kelly, I am using a custom wax that I made with Dixie Belle. So I'm using Dixie Belle clear wax, and I added steel magnolia and chocolate paint to it. It's a very creamy, water-based wax. So once it's cured, it can be painted over. You don't have to remove it with mineral spirits. If you watch the replay, Kelly, at the very beginning, I kind of show how much I used of each. And see, that's a little bit of a harsh line for me right there, so I'm just going to keep just kind of feathering it out until I get the look that I want. So I just break that line up so it doesn't look like it was put there. We want it to look like it was naturally put there. Okay. Hi, Linda. Welcome. Okay, Christian, get out of the rain. That's funny. Okay. So then I'll do this one last corner, and then I'll let you guys go. So again, I've only added wax once since I've been doing this side. And for those of you who didn't hear earlier, I don't wash my wax brushes. I just keep a brush for each color. Now this one, even though it's a custom color, I could still use this one with the Dixie Belle brown. But you can see how very far, this is the wax that I made. And I have used so little of it. And I've done the entire other side, the whole top round part, and the front. And I bet I haven't used probably not even a teaspoon of wax. So again, we've got a little bit of a line here, so I'm just going to feather it out like this so that it just kind of breaks that line up a little bit. Because the more wax you get off your brush, the less of a harsh line you're going to get, and the more natural of your shadow you're going to get. So I'm happy with that. And then you can take it and go around the black part of this right here, and just very subtly, just whatever you've got left on your brush, just kind of smush it on there. And because the brush is almost empty of the wax, it's just very subtle. And then for this part here, let me bring you up a little bit. So for this part, I've got a recessed area right here, so I'm going to add some wax to my brush, and I'm going to place it right in that recessed area. And again, because I've top coated this before I use the wax, I'm going to have a lot more control over removing it. If I did not put the top coat on here first and I were to wipe this back, I would have to really give this some elbow grease, but I'm barely touching it. Okay, it comes off very easily. I'm just going to take it off the flat side of this. Okay, because I don't want it to be harsh. I'm going to, see, I've got a little bit too much. I'm going to have to knock some of this off my brush. Okay, because I just want this to be a shadow. I feel like Bob Ross. Just do the pretty little trees. Just very, I don't sound like Bob Ross, but y'all get the picture. Just very gently. Let's just do it this way. And now I'm going to put a shadow up under here. Just paint the shadows. Okay, I'm cracking myself up. I don't know about y'all, but I'm cracking myself up. Okay, let's get serious again. Okay, so we're going to go in here. Just a very subtle shadow. And then I'm going to break this one up here. Okay, just like that. Now there's a little bit of a line, so now I'm going to just kind of come this way. And all that does is kind of takes off that edge. Can y'all see that? I know the lighting's not great, but okay. So that is how I do my wax. Let me see if y'all can see. The lighting is just, let me see if I can bring this one a little bit more. There we go. Okay. So can y'all see just the slight shading here? Now if I were to put my fingers on this, it would leave a fingerprint until it starts to cure a little bit. Okay, so like tomorrow, this will be almost dry because it's so little wax. Now the thicker your wax, like the wax that's in the crevices, that's going to take a little bit longer to dry just because it's thicker. But as you can see now, we have just a nice halo. Okay. So does anybody have any questions about any of that? So just to recap here, I'll show you. For those of y'all that are just joining us, hang on. Okay. So this is the chocolate. This is the chocolate from Dixie Belle. Okay, it's a nice rich brown. Let me show you. Okay, so you see that? That's the rich brown color that I used to make the wax. There you go. See that? It's a beautiful color. It's got lots of versatility to this color. And this is the clear. And like I said earlier, the clear does look white, but it dries crystal clear. So when you're mixing your colors, you want to be careful not to go too dark, because as it dries, you're going to get your darker color. So what you want to do is test. Get you a small piece of board, paint your drop cloth. This is drop cloth. I should have mentioned that. Put your clear coat on it, because when you do it in practice board, you want to make sure that you follow all the same steps that you're going to follow on your piece. So if you want a more grungy look and you're not going to top coat it first, do that for your test piece. So like in my bathroom, I did not top coat my bathroom cabinets first. I used drop cloth and grunge, which is a gray wax, and so they have a much heavier wax look to them, but it's still has some shadows in it, but they're just a little bit harsher because it's harder to get it back off. Now you can use clear wax to erase if you get too much wax on that way, but when I'm trying to do something with more control, I always top coat it first, and on this one I use satin. Okay, now this is our brown wax. Okay, so it's a very deep, rich brown, and it was just a little bit too dark for me for this piece, because the stenciling that I did on the front, I used a custom color. I mixed my Steel Magnolia, which is this metallic. This is our metallics, and it's a really pretty, it's kind of a goldish silver. It's kind of got a little bit of both in there. So I mixed that with my chocolate, and I did my stencils with that, so that my stencils would be a little bit translucent and not as harsh as just the paint by itself. So when I did that, I decided to go ahead and make my wax. And you can see how much lighter this looks in the container. I don't know if it shows on camera, but you can see how this is a little bit richer brown as it dries, and it's because this has got the clear wax in it, and it looks white. My lip glasses are all crooked. But let me check and see if I have any questions. I did, Debbie. I have a friend. My very best friend is coming over today with her kids to play with my nephew. And so I wanted to hop on here and get this done so that I wouldn't miss it, because my son was here all weekend, and so I didn't do a live all weekend, so I needed to get in here and do this for you guys, because I waxed a little bit yesterday to show my son's girlfriend how to wax, because we painted a little stool for her, and I was showing her how to wax. And so then today I was like, ooh, I need to go online and show them, because I promised y'all that I would show you how I do a custom wax. And you know, don't think that you are limited by the neutrals, guys. You can do the same thing with antebellum blue, with your peony, green, anything you can think of, you can make with your clear wax. And as long as you don't add too much paint to change the properties of the wax. So like I said, I basically dipped this into my paint. So I maybe had a tablespoon, maybe a little bit more than a tablespoon of wax, and I dipped this into my paint twice, okay, and just dipped it in there, and then I dipped it into my Steel Magnolias twice, and then I mixed it up really good. That's all I used to make this, so that the wax maintains its properties and dries rock hard. So if y'all don't have any questions, let me just check real quick. We'll see, Sherry. I'm not quite sure yet what to ask for it. It's such a unique piece, and I'm I'm really loving it. But if there's anybody that just popped on, here's the piece I'm working on. Okay, and then these are all the drawers here. Let me get my key. I'm just so excited that we had a working key. It's so hard. Some of these pieces that have keys that aren't there. It was like $7, and I'm doing this drawer over again for my own personal reasons. So ignore the empty drawer, but it's getting fixed today. But then these drawers are, I did Big Mama's butter on the drawers so that they would slide nice and easy. So I've got Big Mama's butter on the slides. They have the French print on them, and this is the chocolate mixed with the steel magnolia, so it's not a solid. It's a little bit translucent in most areas. It's not the best stenciling job I've ever done, but I like it. Okay, well, that's all I've got for y'all today. As soon as I'm done waxing this piece, it is going to be done. I've got to do a top coat. I'm going to put gator hide, which is our water repellent top coat on the top, just in case somebody sets a glass of water up there or something. And like I said, I've already done 2 coats of satin, so this is not going to get any more top coat on it. And then it'll be done. Thank you, Linda. $7 for the key. No, I did not pay $7. I paid $100 for this, and I never pay that much for a piece ever. But my husband saw this on Marketplace and fell in love with it, and he insisted that I mean, like $50 is like my max for most things, but my husband insisted that, ignore my mess back there, guys. He insisted that I go get it. He loved it, and so I did go get it. So we figure if it doesn't sell, I'll have a beautiful piece in my home. All right, so I'm going to let you guys go. If you have any questions, if you're watching on the replay, please put it in the comments and I will answer you. Also, if you can, or if you so choose desire, please do this for me with this video so that my small business can grow. And if you don't already do this, and you will get notifications when I go live if you don't want to miss lives. All right, with that, I'm going to let you guys go. Love you guys so much. Thank you so much for supporting me. You don't know how much that means to me. Y'all have a great day. Bye.